Alright, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome. We are here, as you can see, in Singapore for the final round of the Midwest Formula 1 Division 3 Championship. It's the Singapore Grand Prix, and we are just getting ready to kick off our short qualifying session. Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us here today, I should say, for what is going to be another session of exciting racing action. And also, it is going to be not just the finale for the season for the Division 3 Championship, but also the final race you will see here on the channel, on the screen, for the F1 2020 version of this game, as F1 2021 is right around the corner, officially set to release here in North America as of tomorrow. Of course, those with the deluxe edition got it a little bit early, and I can say it is a fantastic game to play with, but we still have our scores to settle here in the F1 2020 universe, and they will be settled here today in Singapore. Before we get too ahead of ourselves, we've got to jump into our short qualifying session. Couple drivers hitting the track early here around this Singapore Grand Prix, getting their first banker laps in, which is honestly a good idea. Riding on board, you can see how close the walls are, very similar to what you would see in Baku, in Monaco. It is a street circuit after all, so not much runoff, a lot of walls, and of course that means a lot of front wings, and I do hope teams have packed an extra set of front wings for this race here today. But it is going to be an absolute banger of a race. I'm very excited to kick things off, and I'm excited to see what the drivers can do around the very challenging Singapore Grand Prix. And just to make things even more interesting, I've got the weather report in for the race. If we thought this finale wasn't going to get good enough, and if we thought the drivers weren't going to be challenged enough being here under the lights in Singapore, just wait. We are going to have a transition race. It looks like we're going to be starting in full wet conditions, or at the very least intermediate tire conditions, and translate over to dry running by the end of the session. But of course, any wet weather start means very difficult conditions for the drivers. They're going to have to be perfect for the opening portion of the race, and it is also going to make qualifying here today that much more important than what it normally would be. You want to get track position around this track with that weather to start the race, but it all starts here. We'll ride on board with the Haas of Racing Ginger as he heads across the line, starting his flying lap into turn 1. You see going down to third, he can take a little bit more speed through fourth, down to second through the corner very quickly on the power on the exit of 2 to set yourself up for the run into the next corner. A nice little cut there. You can extend a little bit wide. You don't want to hit the wall, but you want to get as close to it as possible to really maximize the exit speed down the first of 2 DRS straights. Hard braking. You don't want to go too wide on the exit there. That will invalidate. Another corner, you gotta watch out heading wide. That wall is not forgiving whatsoever. This one here on the right hand side either, but it looks like Racing Ginger handling it pretty well. A quick straightaway here before you can take the section of corners. Very tricky section starting all the way back there. You gotta ride the momentum accumulating here in this very hard braking, sharp left-handed corner, quickly on the power on the exit, open up the DRS flap, that rear wing, and barrel down the straight into the hard braking zone of what I believe is turn 12. You can extend the left-hand side of the track there. Once again, not too much. It's a little bit of a reoccurring theme with this track. Extend, but don't extend too much, because these walls, this track can definitely show its teeth if you're not careful. Under the bridge goes Racing Ginger now. Only a few corners to go. A lot of these 90 degrees left, right corners. Around the final corner now, and you can cut a lot of that final corner if you're dangerous. It carries a lot of speed, but you're risking the possible invalidation. Racing Ginger taking the safe route, and he ends with a 140.3 as the time. Chunky Corgi a little bit further behind in that McLaren car. He sets a 139 flat, so about a second quicker than Racing Ginger. But let's take a look now. We've got Houdini, who is on a lap. So let's stick with the Ferrari driver, and this is about as good a time as any to fill everybody in on where we stand with the Drivers' Championship, with the Constructors' Championship, because as I mentioned previously, it is going down to the wire. It is going to come down to this final race here around Singapore, around this circuit. Now, if I start with the Drivers' Championship, it is Houdini on your screen right now in the Ferrari, leading the Drivers' Championship with 236 points. Now, very closely behind his main rival, his main championship competitor here. That is the Red Bull of young DJ CJ, who is currently in the pits, but it has 222 points to his name, so only 14 points behind the leader. So things can definitely change here between now and the end of the race, depending on how this all plays out. But ball is in Houdini's court for the time being to just do what he has to do, and that right there is exactly what Houdini has to do. He goes fastest so far, pole position, or provisional pole position for Houdini, with still 12 minutes to go in this qualifying session, and still at least a good half the drivers who have yet to set a lap time, one of which is young DJ CJ. But taking a look here in third place, we've got Subtle Hole, who's looking to find himself in that podium of the Drivers' Championship. I think out of contention for a top two running, with since Subtle does have 149 points, so it's a very large gap. But it doesn't mean he's sitting pretty, because VTech up in third right now in the qualifying order. He's in fourth with 144 points in the Drivers' Championship. So you can see third and fourth very close together here. And then, of course, you've got the two Mercedes drivers, Unholy Red Eye and Pork Chops. They have been having a season together here so far this season. Heading down to the final race, they are tied in points. So it's all going to come down to this race to see who is truly that number one driver, who is truly going to be the better Mercedes driver between the two. They've been neck and neck through the entirety of this season so far, and now it's time to put up or be quiet, so to say here. So let's see how this all plays out. But those are just a little bit of the talking points there, but some battles all through the order in the Drivers' Championship. Moving over to the Constructors right now, as we're watching Subtle take his lap right now. It is the guys at Red Bull Racing. That is VTech and young DJ CJ leading the way in the Constructors' Championship. 334 points, excuse me. With the Mercedes not too far behind, 315 points. The Ferraris find themselves in a little bit of a distant third, 306 points. But a strong showing from Houdini and Valentine here today could possibly leapfrog the Ferrari team, especially if we see a disappointing showing from the likes of the Red Bull or the Mercedes. But that is your top three. The Williams team, though, not too far behind in fourth, 1 point behind the Ferrari team for that battle for P3. That is a Wild Maida, and Racing, is it, I believe, no, Racing Ginger is in the Haas. So it looks like it's only going to be a Wild Maida here today, representing the Williams drivers. So that does put him on a little bit of a back foot. But looks like Maida is not going to be phased one bit. Currently sitting in second in the qualifying order with 9.5 minutes to go. Clock is ticking down. More drivers are getting their initial time set. Young DJ CJ, though, he is yet to put a time on the board, but is currently on a flying lap right now. You saw those purple sector times, at least for Sector 2. Could very well be that well-known glitch of the purple Sector 2 time, but we'll see how this lap is going to look. Heading around the final corner towards the line. Where is that going to put young DJ CJ? It is going to put him in provisional pole position. much quicker than the time set by Houdini. Not necessarily a full second, but very close to it, around 6-7 tenths faster goes young DJ CJ. He is in P1. It's a 1:35.449 for the Red Bull driver on his first time here. What a lap that was. And now the question is, can anybody respond between now and the end of the session? Let's take a quick peek here in the meantime, as Valentine in the Ferrari is currently on a lap right now. If I take a quick peek at the not the telemetry, I want the details. So very interestingly here, we've got a couple drivers, the likes of a Wild Maida, Pocket Rocket, Pork Chops, looks like Highways, Unholy Red Eye. They've got their lap time set on the on the medium tires. So a little bit of an interesting strategy call, just given what we might see for the start of the race, but it could also be indication that the teams might be assuming that this could be a dry tire race start, and no need for those intermediate tires or those wet weather condition tires. Of course, the drivers do get a little bit more information than we get here in the commentator's booth, so they've got the better info to make those educated decisions. But it's looking to be a possibly a full dry tire race, albeit the rainy conditions to start the race, barring any possible switches between now and the end of the session. Of course, looking at the best times compared to the fitted tires, it's about the same. Drivers are opting to put on the soft tires a little bit more. Those are those red wall tires that you're seeing on a lot of the cars. The likes of which we're seeing on K-Dog, for example, there. But we could see more soft tires on those cars between from now till the end of qualifying, as drivers really start trying to eke out those lap times, and we start seeing the lap times drop more than they already have. But we have 15 drivers with times so far, 3 that have left that are yet to set times, I should say. Kaz, Capital, Valentine. Valentine, though, not due to lack of trying. He did actually, he was on a flying lap as we were watching him, but there was an invalidation along the way, so that lap didn't count. And crucially, it looks like Valentine is going once again. He's going to try the second time around to keep it clean, put something on the board. And this is the time now, 6 minutes and 20 seconds and counting in qualifying. You've got to put a time on the board now. Time is really running out to get that perfect lap. So at this point, it might not be a bad idea. I don't want to say be too conservative, but maybe if you know something that you can nail if you push the lap time, but it's a little bit tricky to do, maybe take that safer route, surrender a couple tenths of a second just to put a lap time on the board if you don't have one so far. Because of course, starting from let's say from P9, P10, P11, still better than starting last on the grid way down in P17, P18. But of course, that's just my thoughts on that here. But we'll see what the drivers are going to opt to do. Valentine looking to be on a much cleaner lap this time around. K-Dog, she set a lap time, and she jumped up to 12th fast this year in qualifying, so just outside of the top 10. And put herself right behind Chunky Corgi, who he himself just crossed the line, moving up into P9. Very quickly, though, knocked down to P10 as Valentine puts a lap together, and he puts that Ferrari up into second, just behind the Red Bull of young DJ CJ. It's a 136.3, so the gap is starting to close up now here. But still, young DJ CJ leading this pole position by what is now officially just under a second. It was over a second when it was between young DJ and Houdini, as I did my math the wrong way previously. Apologies for that, but now it is just under 1 second. Young DJ CJ on pole, Valentine in second after putting that lap together. Pocket Rocket in the Haas. He is rounding out your top 3 here so far today. And Pocket Rocket looking for another strong showing here. Doesn't appear to be on a lap right now. Might be rushing to get to the pits to get one last fresh set of tires on to get one more lap done. And I think he might have just finished his lap that brought him up into P3. Houdini, meanwhile, sitting down in 4th. So still a top 5, but might want to consider coming out for one more lap between now and the end of the session. And it is something drivers might want to start considering in the next minute and a half here, because of course it does take a little bit of time. It takes just about, I would say, maybe a minute and a half to 2 minutes to get an out lap done here. Plus you've got your flying lap, and then the question just comes down to whether or not you want to give yourself time to set a second lap if your first one doesn't go as planned, or if you want to rely on the one and done. And that is going to make the difference between when you opt to leave the pits. Houdini, he's opted to leave the pits a little bit early, so maybe has a 2-lap strategy here in the tank, or really going to take his time to warm up the tires. But we'll have to see how it's going to play out between him, as well as the likes of Valentine, who's coming into the pits, probably signaling the end of his qualifying session, as well as young DJ CJ, who will stick with the Red Bull drivers. He's currently on a lap right now, looking to improve on his already blistering fast time. We'll see if he can improve. He has gone 2 tenths faster, nearly 2.5 tenths faster, so it looks like he is going to improve, going to make this challenge much more difficult for the likes of Houdini, Maida, Pocket Rocket, Valentine, if they choose to do one more lap here. If they have the time to do one more lap, the challenge might be that much more difficult. So as long as young DJ CJ can keep the lap together between now up until the line around the final corner, the Red Bull driver goes across the line. He does go faster to near 135 flat. Not quick enough to break into the sub 135s, but still a very solid 135.082, puts him over a second faster than the nearest driver in second, which is Valentine with that 136.3. But now a couple out laps, a couple flying laps here. Let's see how everybody else is going to react. Subtle but whole, down in 6th right now in the qualifying order in that McLaren, is currently on a flying lap. So let's stick with the McLaren driver, see what he can do. Not much ERS in the tank to work with here, so may or may not actually be running a lap here. I'll stick with him for the time being, at least until I get an idea of the sector time in Sector 2, just so I have a little bit of a better idea. But I'll be honest, it's not looking to be a particularly quick lap for Subtle but Whole, and just looking at the sector time right now, I really don't think that is the case. Yep, letting the Haas through, so we'll let him do what he does. Just in time, though, to pick up right around where he picked up Subtle for Houdini, who's running a flying lap right now. So we'll stick with the Ferrari driver just to see what he can do in this battle for pole position. He's got 1 minute and 10 seconds to go if he wants to get the time set here on this lap. If he wants to do one more, he's going to have to cross the line before the timer hits 0. Should have enough time, though. I'm not too worried about that, barring any crazy mistakes. But lots of drivers here out on track, looking to get a lap time set that looked to be possibly a Mercedes without any front wing there in the distance. No, I think I am mistaken. He did have a front wing. It was just blending into the sights of Singapore, as my eyesight seems to be failing me here. But under the bridge he goes through the left right section, the 90-degree corners, the chicane-like corners here for Sector 3 of Singapore. Around the final corner now goes Houdini to the line. It's not going to be pole position. It puts him up into P3, a tenth of a second slower than his teammate Valentine. So not ideally the best lap for Houdini. But, of course, one thing to say about Houdini is that he has been a bit more of a racer, less of a qualifier. He has put in qualifying performances here and there, but the race is really where Houdini shines. He just has a knack of being in the right place at the right time, putting that car where it needs to be, and once he is able to find that clean air, he makes the most of it. Now, it also looked like as the qualifying timer hit 0, drivers are completing their last laps. The likes of Pocket Rocket running a lap right now. I think Houdini might also be running a lap, but it's an invalidated lap, so it's not going to count. It's not going to improve, so it's all down to Pocket Rocket here to see if he can maybe challenge for pole position. Do we have possibly a challenger from out from left field around the final corner to the line? It's close. It's second position for Pocket Rocket, 7 tenths. slower than the time set by young DJ CJ, who as of right now is going to be starting from pole position. It does not appear as if VTech is going to improve. Houdini won't improve. Chunky Corgi's on a lap, but it's not looking to be much of an improvement for Chunky Corgi here, as I'm looking at the time and the amount of distance left between where he is and the line. So we'll see here as heading around the final corner. It might actually be a little bit closer than I thought here. A 1:37.4 bumps him up into P6 goes Chunky Corgi, so ahead of his teammate just outside of the top 5, but it is a top 10 qualifying showing for both Chunky Corgi up in 6th as well as his teammate Subtle, who ends his qualifying session down in 8th. But there you have it. That is the end of our short qualifying session here in Singapore. It is the familiar face, the Red Bull of young DJ CJ, who will be starting from P1. He will be starting from pole position here once we do jump into the race with the likes of Pocket Rocket in the Haas, going to be starting on the front row of the grid right alongside him. Then you've got the 2 Ferraris side by side, the prancing horses lining up right behind. So for those top 2 drivers, don't look in your mirrors too much, because all you will see is red. All you're gonna see is that prancing horse there. But we'll see how everything plays out in the race. So like I said, the Red Bull and the Haas, young DJ CJ and Pocket Rocket claiming the front row of the grid. Young DJ CJ getting that coveted pole position. The 2 Ferraris of Valentine and Houdini in 3rd and 4th on the 2nd row of the grid. Then you've got a Wild Maida and Chunky Corgi P5 and P6. A Wild Maida though on the medium tires there. Highway is Subtle, 7th and 8th. Silent Banshee and VTech rounding out the top 10 here. Only Maida setting a time on those medium tires here. Then you've got Pork Chops, Best of the Rest, right ahead of his teammate Unholy Red Eye. K-Dog, C. Freeman, Capital, Renault AlphaTauri, and Renault there to round out the top 15. And the rest of the grid order we will get to in just a few moments. But of course, we are just about set to kick off the race here in Singapore. And as you can see, it's wet conditions, looking slightly damp here. You've got the rain falling, but the question is, what are the tires going to be? What tires are the drivers going to opt to start with here? Unholy Red Eye hitting that ready up button pretty quickly there. The Mercedes driver, he wants to get right at it here. He doesn't want to take any time, but we'll see what the stewards have to say about that, because it was fairly quick. I mean, of course, it is the final race of the season, so could possibly see some league penalty points or possibly repercussions translating into next season. But we'll see how that all plays out. But the timer has hit 0. We are just about ready to kick off the race here. The formation lap to start, and it appears as though everybody's starting on the intermediate tires. So it is going to be wet enough to start on those intermediate tires. So we will be seeing a transitionary pit stop into the dry tires, and that is when we are going to start seeing the strategy really take shape here, I think, once we do start seeing those dry tires get on these cars. But for now, it's an intermediate tire start, maybe a little bit more cautious here, but much more prone to possible mistakes. But one more time through the order here, it is the the Red Bull of young DJ CJ, who is on pole position. Pocket Rocket in 2nd, Valentine and Houdini 3rd and 4th for the Ferraris, with a Wild Maida rounding out the top 5. Chunky Corgi in 6th, Highways in 7th, Subtle Butthole in 8th. Silent Banshee was a little bit silent in qualifying, sticking to his name, up into 9th in that racing points, so is in the top 10. VTech rounding out the top 10, so a Red Bull in 1st, a Red Bull in 10th here on the order. Behind that Red Bull of VTech, you've got the 2 Mercedes. Pork Chops leading the way. Unholy Red Eye down the 2nd of 2 Mercedes in 12th position. K-Dog, she's in 13th. C. Freeman in 14th. Capital rounding out the top 15. Then you've got Racing Ginger in 16th. Clogmonger in 17th. And Kaz FSJ rounding out the grid order in P18. Did not take part in qualifying. Showed up a little bit late, so was not able to get a lap time set. So is starting from the back of the grid and probably has one of the more challenging tasks of all the drivers, having to essentially attempt a last question mark challenge, so to see. We'll see how that all plays out for him. We've seen, I believe, Kaz pull a couple of these off in the past and turn them into decent results. But Singapore here in this circuit is a completely different animal, as you can see, with the walls so close together. Just a challenging track, even more so in these conditions with the wet track, the wet weather tires. You're going to have to stay clean. Watch the throttle on the acceleration. Watch out for the braking. You don't want to go deep. Maybe you'll have a little bit of a loss of downforce, so we'll see how that affects maybe some of the drivers in terms of the setups they had set up. But the lead drivers are starting to take their positions on the grid order. The rest of the grid is starting to follow suit here. Around the final corner comes Kaz. Here we go. We are just about ready for 31 laps here around the circuit, for the Singapore Grand Prix. Who is going to be the champion of Division 3? Who is going to be the champion of Singapore? We will find out here in just a few moments once the 5 red lights go out. We are up to 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 red lights. And the lights are off, and we are racing here in Singapore. And as you can see, a little bit of a cautious start from a lot of the drivers heading towards the line in turn 1. Pocket Rocket getting a great start. Maida making a move on the Ferrari to go up into P3 from P5, feeling very comfortable. Young DJ seemingly struggling a little bit here off of the restart, not the restart, just the start of the race here, as now drivers are getting into a little bit more of an orderly fashion. Maybe a little bit of a battle here going through this corner in the midfield between the McLarens and the Mercedes. Subtle Chunky Corgi right near VTEC, stuck right in the middle of a Mercedes and McLaren sandwich, defending that position well. Watch out though, here comes Pork Chops coming around the outside, going deep. His teammate Unholy Red Eye now trying to make a move, will not be able to get past VTEC though. You've got the 2 AlphaTauris battling a little bit further behind as they've gained a couple grounds, but for Pork Chops, at least that move early on did not quite work out. But what a sight to see from the AlphaTauris. Here it is battling for 13th and 14th, but they were battling for position, and that is what you love to see. No love lost between teammates, as everybody is just trying to settle those final scores here on the final race, and this is what you love to see. I am seeing a little bit more urgency, a little bit more push from a lot of the drivers. VTEC trying to make a move around the inside of Chunky Corgi there, coming through that very sharp left-hander after the bridge section, but watch out, because Unholy Red Eye is lurking in the shadows right behind, waiting for his opportunity to strike. Thought he had it there heading down, but without the help of DRS here in the early stages, it does not look like that move was going to happen there. But still very close racing here in the midfield pack. We'll check back into that in just a moment, but I want to take a quick peek at the leaders, because you've got Pocket Rocket leading the charge. We have a yellow flag here, and oh no, where does I switch over? VTEC having a big moment. There's a piece of front wing bouncing off. He's going very slowly under the tunnel, under this bridge section. There you go, he is back on track, but that's some heavy wing damage to have here in Singapore. What is going on here between, that is just my order getting all messed up. I thought we were seeing some overtakes galore. I thought some pit stops, but I think the only pit stop we're going to be seeing is, well, actually Pork Chops is taking a pit stop, but VTEC I think is going to be joining very shortly here. Actually, no, VTEC is going to try to live with that wing damage. Here comes Unholy Red Eye, I should say, looking to make an overtake on Chunky Corgi. I have no idea what's going on with the order here. Everything is a little bit funky. Unholy Red Eye in 16th, Clogmonger leading the way. This is about a little bit further down the field I should say, as now my timing tables are getting sorted out. I thought we had a very close battle here from what I saw. Maybe not quite the case. Just give me my gaps, please. I don't need the arrows right now. I need to know where people are, as Pocket Rocket's the leader of the race, not Pork Chops, unfortunately, for the Mercedes fans out there. He's got a little bit of time that he's going to have to gain before that. But young DJ CJ keeping a lot of pressure here on Pocket Rocket, not allowing the Haas driver to get any room, not allowing space to get that clean air to try to push. Young DJ is doing what he has to do, sticking with them, maybe hoping to capitalize on a possible mistake here in these intermediate tire conditions to take that lead back. But a solid recovery from the Red Bull driver after not having the greatest of starts. And look at this, Almeida right behind as well. Definitely closer than a second and a half from what I can see here. Just got to wait for the gaps to sort themselves out, I believe. But even the likes of Silent Banshee, once again, being very quiet off the restart, but doing what he has to do, and bringing that racing point up to P6. We've got a yellow flag, though, here, as that's Racing Ginger having a moment going under the tunnel, under the bridge there. The second driver to have a moment in that same area. For those who don't remember, we did see VTech about a lap ago have a very similar incident, just missing the braking point. And you're here in these wet weather conditions. You've got to be on your braking points all the time. You've got to keep focused, because a mistake like that can prove to be very costly if you're not careful, with the form of wing damage, possibly a DNF very early on in this race before it truly begins for a lot of these drivers. But on track right now, you've got Clogmonger. He's putting a lot of pressure on Unholy Red Eye and trying to possibly maybe make an overtake to get up into P9. Racing Ginger and VTech both dive into the pits. They've had enough, and they're getting that fresh set of boots on and changing that front wing as well. As I'm not surprised is going to be the case, going to be the call here. Ooh, a bit of a lock-up, a brake check, not a brake check, but a lock-up there on the brakes from Unholy Red Eye. But right as I say that, oh my goodness, Clogmonger getting caught up into an incident. Chunky Corgi had nowhere to go but inside the car of oh my goodness, of I believe that was Clogmonger there, who was just parked waiting for the time to get through. Watch out, you don't want that tire to pop off here. But I'm sure that wouldn't be the end of the world given that condition that car is in. But that's bringing out a virtual safety car here on lap 3 for that incident. Well deserved, but for Chunky Corgi, the damage is probably already done here, as once we get a better angle, we'll take a look. Yeah, a lot of front wing damage on that McLaren, and that is going to be an extra pit stop. Ooh, that was a little bit scary there. Recovered it, but you can see how difficult this is with the loss of downforce. And C. Freeman is essentially caught up right behind. And we've got a little bit of a train here. C. Freeman, Kaz, K-Dog, Capital. They're just waiting to get released. And there we go. Now they have been released. Thankfully, though, it allowed Unholy Red Eye and Chunky Corgi enough time to get to the pits. So not too much time lost, or not nearly as much as what it could have been, but still a bit of a costly mistake there, and really unfortunate for Chunky Corgi. Just caught at the wrong place, wrong time, with nowhere to go but into the AlphaTauri, who is also taking a pit stop as expected. But here very early on, we've already seen a little bit of calamity, a little bit of incidents there, but it looks like every driver making it through, getting that early pit stop done and getting right back on track. And that is what you love to see here. But speaking of on track, you've got Subtle Butthole chasing down Houdini. Now, Houdini here, as you can see, only down in 7th. He's a big distance away from his main competitor, which is young DJ CJ. It appears as though Silent Banshee is struggling here in these tires, now finding the traction where Houdini might have struggled a little bit there on the exit of that corner. but it seemed like going through that bridge section, not the best time for Silent Banshee. Not here either, as you can see Houdini is catching up, putting some pressure. But we'll see how the Racing Point driver can defend here in this situation. But no, we have a safety car, as that is for that Alfa Romeo right there on your screen. We'll take a look here with C. Freeman. Watch out here, though, as you're going to take this corner. That is Highways, who very similar to what we saw the likes of VTech do. It's another driver just miscalculating the braking point there for that left-hander under the bridge, running into that wall, and there is nothing you can do there. It's a full caution safety car, allowing for some drivers to take some pit stops. It looks as though the rain has stopped. So the question is, are we going to see drivers maybe gamble, put a set of slick tires on in hopes that this track does dry up in 2-3 laps time once the safety car does come in and we do go back to green flag racing? And that looks to be exactly what some of the drivers are thinking here. You've got Silent Banshee, Kaz, C. Freeman. They think, well, we've got nothing to lose here. Let's pit early for a set of mediums and try to go long and just outlast this wet weather on the track. Let the dry line form now that the rain has stopped and that you're under safety car. And it looks like K-Dog is following suit. And I think we're going to see more drivers following suit here with this early pit stop for the slick tires, or at least those who are right around middle of the pack and don't have nearly as much to lose from taking this gamble, taking this pit stop. But I'll be back in a moment. Let's go back to the leader here, Pocket Rocket, leading under safety car, being chased down by young DJ CJ. But as said, we will be back in just a few moments here to take us through a little bit of an update of what happened here, as well as the restart here under safety car. Alrighty, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back here to Singapore SitRep. We are here on lap 6 under the safety car for the incident involving Highways missing his braking point, heading under the bridge there in sector 3, hitting the wall, and of course not much you can do once that happens other than hope for the best. Sometimes it's wing damage, sometimes it's a DNF, and unfortunately for Highways, he did not get he got the short end of the stick on that one. But it did bring out the safety car here and this is where we stand here on lap 6. Pocket Rocket had a fantastic jump off of the initial start of the race and finds himself in the lead. Chunky Corgi has retired out of this session. Oh no, and I think I see that was what I was scared of. Chunky Corgi struggling with those soft tires, maybe trying to push a little bit too hard, missing the braking point, and this might possibly extend that safety car in order to get that McLaren cleared out of the way. But that is another driver here out of this finale, out of the race, and we are down to 16 runners here, and that hurts a little bit. Possibly the McLaren team in their battle here for the constructors. Let's take a quick peek at the updates here, as I'm just gonna quickly re-pull them back up. Now the McLaren, they are sitting, well, they're sitting pretty in 6th position right now, 259 points. it's going to hurt in their possibility to try to catch up to the Haas team. But also, you got to watch out because the Renaults have 225 points just behind the McLaren. So that can be a little bit scary here in this final race, depending on especially seeing the likes of Capital and K-Dog up in 6th and 10th respectively, with the possibility to gain just that little bit more. But under safety car here, the lights are still on. It appears as if we're going to be going around for one more lap at the very least here under safety car, but hopefully it won't stay out past lap 7 so that we can go back to green flag racing to start lap 8 out of 31. Still tons of racing here to have in Singapore. It is one of the longer tracks, in at least as far as time is concerned on the calendar. Definitely one of the more difficult, one of the more demanding circuits here. Definitely takes a lot of mental endurance, physical endurance as well, with the length of the laps, the length of the circuit, and just the length of the race. But this is why the drivers get paid the big bucks. This is why they are here today. And so far, for the drivers here on the track, it's looking to be a good race here. But I'm sure it will get better, especially once we do get back to that green flag racing we all love to see here. But when we do go back to green flag racing, we will have 16 drivers on the track, on the field here to fight over these positions. But this is where we stand right now. I think we might actually get one more lap under safety car, because it looks like the grid is relatively spread out. Normally they do try to allow for the drivers to catch back up to the safety car, but we'll see how this all plays out as we are approaching the midway point of Sector 2, the midway point of the track here on this safety car lap 7. To lead into lap 8. But I'm looking here at the data. You've got the top 6 drivers here that have opted to all stay out on their intermediate tires. Now, if I'm taking a look here, there is not much of a dry line, and there you have it. Safety car is coming in here at the end of this lap. So we will be going back to green flag racing to start lap 8. But as I was mentioning, the top 6 have all stayed out on those intermediate tires. There is a little bit of a spray coming off, but not really all that much. It's not really prevalent. So maybe a bit of a mistake staying out. But we'll see how many, if any, are going to possibly dive into the pit lane here to start lap 8 and maybe try to get this pit stop under the safety car restart. But we'll see how this all plays out. Pocket Rocket is leading the way. He does go initially, slows down though. Oh, excuse me, my goodness. But now looks like he's about to go. And yes, there you have it. P1, P2 dive into the pits. Maida though, he is going to be staying out for one more lap. Let's see if that's going to pay off, because it looks like everybody else is diving into the pits. So Subtle But Whole is going to be promoted up into 3rd position now, as all those top runners, other than a Wild Maida and Capital, opted to take their pit stops to put on the fresh set of slick tires here. A yellow flag for what looks to be possibly K-Dog. Yes, that is K-Dog, as thankfully she does end up in the runoff, which is still looking pretty wet to be fair, but thankfully saves the car and just has to get out of that runoff and can continue on her way. But very much so better than what it could have been. Will take a loss of position over the loss of the car in the race. But a little bit of work cut out for K-Dog now, as she is going to have to climb her way back up the field. But now, speaking of, Maida is leading the charge. Capital in 2nd. Maida having a nice little 3-second gap, but it looks like he might be struggling a little bit on these intermediate tires compared to the likes of Subtle, who's already caught up to Capital. Kaz is right behind now, finding himself in a very solid 4th position. And meanwhile, all those drivers who stayed out for the safety car on those intermediates, there's young DJ CJ, who actually got ahead of Pocket Rocket through those pit stops. Pocket Rocket now in 9th, young DJ CJ in 8th. K-Dog, she's had enough after that. She is retiring. That is the end of her That is going to be the end of her Grand Prix. Young DJ CJ, it looks like he's slowing down to allow the likes of Pocket Rocket and Houdini to get ahead. I'm not too sure what that was about. Possibly either missing his braking line entirely, not having the grip, or possibly some funny business that young DJ CJ trying to sort out, but it appears, just based on the onboard, it looks like it's probably the former rather than the latter. Now, meanwhile, you've got the likes of both Capital and Maida who have officially dove into the pits now to get those fresh set of tires on. So this has essentially unleashed the likes of Subtle Butthole and Kaz to essentially run off here in their 2-horse race. Valentine just crossed the line now. He's looking to be absolutely flying right now. But now he's going to have a full lap, but he's got to close up 14 seconds to these front 2 runners. He's doing a good job of it, and of course, if we see Subtle and Kaz battling it out, having a fight here on track, that is definitely going to help out Valentine. But already it looks like the Ferrari driver is making a lot of ground here. He's absolutely flying there with that purple Sector 1, seemingly leaving the likes of Pork Chops in the dust here, as Pocket Rocket now is going to try to make an overtake. He's coming close, but not close enough to overtake with the help of that DRS straight there. I don't think DRS is activated just yet, though. So fret not, Pocket Rocket. I'm sure there is a little bit more top speed in that tank somewhere once DRS does officially get activated. But it's going to be close, and we have a yellow flag a little bit further behind. Let's take a quick peek here and see. That was C. Freeman, who was facing the wrong way. Now he's just trying to get back onto the right way, flips that car around, keeps it in one piece. Fantastic work there, but that is going to bring out another safety car here on lap 9. So for those maybe not feeling comfortable with the slick tires they chose, it gives them essentially a second life, a second opinion here, a second ability to dive into the pits and correct a possible mistake that might have happened. But it seems like this safety car came out very quickly after the former one did come in. So not much is going to change in terms of strategy. But crucially, that 12-13 second gap that Subtle Butthole and Kaz had is going to be now reduced to essentially nothing, because everyone is going to catch up here under safety car, and we're going to head back to the Snake and essentially have that slick tire restart. Valentine, though, he took a pit stop. He's putting on a set of hard tires, so maybe going to try to go 21 laps to the end of the Grand Prix and live with that choice, or hope for a late safety car, but just take the safer route rather than push those that medium 2-stop strategy there that I think a lot of drivers are looking at here with how early the conditions switched over to dries. Because of course, if you're Kaz and Subtle, even Pocket Rocket, Maida, Houdini, who put on those medium tires, I guess if you really want to, you can push them longer and put on a set of soft tires. But the softs really don't last all that long, so you're better off with a set of medium tires that you can just push and know that they're going to last a little bit longer than what you've got. But we'll see how it all plays out here between now and the end of the race. But for now, we are under safety car. And once again, I'll take a quick sip of water. We'll stick with the leaders here under safety car for a little bit. It's Subtle Butthole leading the way here under this second safety car here on lap 10, approaching lap 11 here in Singapore. Alrighty, I am back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your patience here. We are here under safety car, lap 11 out of 31. 20 laps to go here in the finale for the Division 3 championship. We've had one virtual safety car and two full caution safety car here. The most recent one here coming out just a lap or two ago. For the incident involving C. Freeman, I believe it was, just getting that car spun around, lots of wing damage, so better to play it safe, get the safety car out, get that debris cleaned up, and then head back to green flag racing. But the grid has essentially caught right back up, barring only a few cars that should catch up sooner rather than later here, so I would not be surprised to see us go back to green flag racing here, possibly at the end of this lap, if not definitely at the end of next lap. Down to 15 drivers here, as we've had 3 DNFs, the likes of K-Dog, Trunky Corgi, and Highways all out of this race previously earlier on in the session. Safety car is coming in here at the end of this lap, so we're going to be going back to green flag racing here very, very shortly to start lap 12 out of 31, and it is going to be the McLaren of Scuttlebutt Hole who is going to be leading the way here under the safety car restart. Kaz in the Alfa Romeo is going to try to put some pressure right behind, and so is Pork Chops here on those slightly more worn hard tires there that are a little bit harder, but might take a little bit more time to heat up here under the safety car restart. Then, of course, you got to watch out. You've got the likes of Pocket Rocket, who is lurking in 4th position here, looking to make a charge, gain that lead of the race right back after losing it through the pit stops after the first safety car. Crucially, though, young DJ CJ in the Red Bull finds himself all the way down in P14 after taking what looked to be another pit stop. And here we go. Back to green flag racing as the drivers head down towards turn 1 in full force. Here comes Pocket Rocket chasing down Pork Chops, gonna try a move, possibly a switchback there, but through in the on the exit of turn 2 is not really where you see much of a move here, other than the start lap 1 of the race. But this is where we're gonna see it. A nice exit from Pocket Rocket. He's gonna make a drag race now with Pork Chops. He's being forced to the outside. Who can get the better braking? It looks like it is going to be close, but it is Pocket Rocket who gets the move done, finds himself now up into a podium position. Pork Chops struggling a little bit here as now he's got a Wild Maida alongside, so really struggling for grip, leaving just a car's width there, and Maida wisely backs out to save the car. Houdini now slowing down, allowing Valentine to take the lead, possibly a tactical call here from the Ferrari team. Valentine maybe having more pace, so Houdini allowing his teammate to take the charge. Well, he can focus on keeping the likes of Capital and VTech behind, gain a few positions in the process, but also focus a little bit more on his main championship fight of young DJ CJ. But we've got Maida, Pork Chops, and Valentine, 3 cars so close together here on the restart, battling all for position. Pork Chops looks to be holding up some of these drivers here in this stage of the race. Like I was saying, those hard tires really struggling for temperature here off the restart. They're gonna take maybe a lap or two before they get into that true optimal condition, optimal tire temperature. So we'll see how this plays out in the next few laps. But for now, Maida sticking close, gonna possibly try an overtake here. Close, but not close enough, as Pork Chops does a good job defending. But it looks like he's losing a lot of time through the corners. Capital now getting right there alongside Valentine, as Houdini is now down in 8th. I think Houdini might be struggling a little bit here on this circuit, as he's now got VTech for company behind. Here, though, now comes a Wild Maida once again. No DRS active, unfortunately, so it's going to rely on pure pace. Right behind Capital, going for a big move there, and he does make it work, to probably the surprise of Valentine, who might have seen that move at the last possible second. but might not have been expecting it there. But look at that, sticking it around the outside goes the Ferrari. He is not going to go down without a fight as Valentine, and that is exactly proof right then and there. But Capital, he's sticking with Valentine too. This is a fantastic battle here between the Ferrari and the Renault. Both drivers leaving just enough for the other driver. Not too much, not too little, but just enough room. But it looks like tempers are going to settle. Heads are going to cool. And for now, it's Valentine in 6th, Capital in 7th. As once again, they're going to try to chase down, possibly overtake Maida, who is still stuck behind Pork Chops, who's been handling this P4 and defending this position with all of his might, and making that Mercedes look very big. That mistake there from a Wild Maida is not going to help all that much, as that might be a little bit costly with the time, and that could allow Valentine to put a little bit of pressure here on the Williams. No DRS down the start-finish straight, but Valentine doesn't need it. He flies right by the Williams of a Wild Maida, and now he's going to get his opportunity possibly to charge after Pork Chops, unless a Wild Maida wants to try to gain that position right back. But let's see how this is going to play out. We've got a little bit of a train here heading down the DRS straight. Flaps are open. Are we going to see any overtakes heading into the corner? No overtakes this time around, as drivers are a little bit more calm. But still, Pork Chop now, very crucially, is able to is building a tiny little bit of a gap between he and Valentine. He's starting to find that tire temperature. He's starting to find that grip, and it's really working out for him now, as Valentine is not keeping up with them the way we were seeing the likes of Maida do just a few laps ago. But speaking of, look at that corner from Valentine, gaining a lot of speed there. Are we going to see a move down the inside into the braking zone, going very deep? Ooh, that came very, very close to ending his race. But thankfully for Valentine, not only did it not end his race, he didn't take any damage out of that. So he just lost out on a few positions, but carried on his way. Very, very lucky was Valentine, and I'm sure Chunky Corgi, if he's watching the stream right now, he's probably fuming, absolutely flipping out right now if he saw that, because that was seemingly identical to what happened to Chunky Corgi to end his race a couple laps prior now, early on in this Grand Prix. But then this midfield battle from Pork Chops down, it's a gaggle of cars. It's a kerfuffle here. It's everybody just battling it out. We've got 4 cars here just trying to overtake one another, and this is what you love to see. This is the battles we came to see here for the racing. Once again, with the help of DRS, Pork Chop leading the charge. Who was going to get the overtake done here? It looked like Valentine was going to try to go for it, but just was not able to have enough speed difference to really chuck that move in there. But look at this here. Look at this shot here. You've got Pork Chops, and then right behind, oh, look, there's the other 3. Now being separated a tiny little bit more, but not for long, as they're going to bunch right back up. We've got some more yellow flags here, as that looks to be young DJ CJ, I believe, struggling a little bit here around Singapore. Maida getting so close to Pork Chop. Is he going to be able to overtake possibly the Mercedes driver here? He does go down the inside. He makes it stick. The switchback from Pork Chops. Is it going to be enough? No, it's not. A Wild Maida, he finally gets ahead of the Mercedes. He finally gets ahead of Pork Chops. He finally gets to see that P4. I hope he's probably got a smile on his face now with that, as he can now use that clean air to his advantage and try to charge after the podium sitters here of Kaz, Pocket Rocket, and Subtle, who have built a little bit of a gap between them and the rest of the grid now. 4 seconds is the gap between 3rd and 4th. But right behind them now, this battle is still happening. Pork Chops, he did lose out on 1 position, but he can't breathe easily, because he might be at risk of losing another one here if Valentine can just get the pace he needs. Crucially, though, let's take a look heading down with DRS. Pork Chops doesn't have any DRS on a Wild Maida. So he is going to be essentially a sitting duck here, as now going alongside Valentine, getting the inside line as Valentine. Capital trying to slip a move, following in Valentine's footsteps the long way around. Oh, that is not going to work at all for Capital, and you can see why there. You think the outside's going to work when you're heading into the corner, but then you realize just the way you take that corner, that outside line just completely shuts off on you. Very similar to turn 4 in Austria, that you've got it, but unless you're truly alongside, you are never going to make that overtake through that corner. Better to just stick behind, and I think Capital realized that very quickly, slammed on the brakes, and didn't lose out on too much. That is a big moment here. We've got a full caution safety car once again here at the midway point, lap 16 out of 31. But that isn't the big news. The big news here is young DJ CJ in the Red Bull is out of this race. He is out of the finale. His hopes at the championship here in Division 3 have gone, similarly to his car, up in smoke. That is it for young DJ CJ in his battle for the championship, and this is going to mean a pit stop for the entire field here. It looks like everybody diving into the pits to put on a fresh set of tires, other than, look at that, Pork Chops, who is going to be staying out, looking to go long. Capital staying out, Unholy Red Eyes staying out. So it's going to be Pork Chops seemingly leading this race off on the safety car restart, barring any other pit stops here from he or the other top threes. But like I said, big moment here. It is young DJ CJ out of this race, and it appears as though Silent Banshee has followed suit. He's had enough. So we are now down to 13 runners here in this Grand Prix. As we are on lap 17 out of 31 under safety car. Pork Chops leading the way, staying out, not opting to pit like the rest of the field did. The top 4 have stayed out. The rest have taken differing pit-stop strategies, ranging from the mediums to the hards. 13 drivers here on the grid, but it is the Mercedes of Pork Chops leading the charge here under safety car, and we will be back in just a moment to give a sit rep and take us through yet another safety car restart here. Alrighty, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Lap 18 out of 31 under safety car here for the finale of the Division 3 Championship at the Singapore Grand Prix here today. Pork Chops is leading the way. He is leading under safety car, but very crucially, as you can see here, the top 4 they are top 4 because they had stayed out once the safety car did come in. The rest of the field opting to take pit stops, put on a fresh set of tires. So we'll see how that's going to play out between now and the end of the race here, as we still have about 13 more laps to go in this Grand Prix. Now, as we saw, and I do want to talk about this very quickly, just in terms of Pork Chops and Clogmonger, who are both on those hard tires. But we saw with the previous safety car restart, Pork Chop specifically had a lot of trouble getting that car running off the initial jump over the first few laps. Now, compare that to somebody like, for example, Kaz, who pit for a fresh set of mediums. He might get a much better jump. Kaz might be able to make a few overtakes here, but Pork Chops and Clogmonger might be caught flat-footed here on the restart. Pork does get the advantage that he is leading the restart, so he can take it at his own pace, take the time to put that heat in his tires. But I am a little bit worried about how that choice to stay out is going to affect his first lap or two here around the circuit for the safety car restart. But all questions will be answered very shortly here as they head under the bridge, under the overpass here, through the final few corners as they crawl towards the line to head back to green flag racing to start lap 19 out of 31 here at the Singapore Grand Prix for the Division 3 Championship here, the final round. Here we go, around the final bend across the line, and it looks like already Unholy Red Eye might be trying to make a move on Capital, and the top 3 do get ahead. Clogmonger, though, lurking a little bit further behind, already being pressured by the likes of Subtle But Whole, and Pocket Rocket, I believe, is putting a lot of pressure too. Oh no, and that's a big half spin there from Pocket Rocket, from the likes of... and there was, I believe, I did see somebody else get caught up in that half spin as well. But for Pocket Rocket, that's very heartbreaking under that restart, just trying to push a little bit too much. Kaz now in 9th, chasing down Houdini, who's in 8th. Pocket Rocket, though, flying here after that recoup, trying to go around the inside, didn't quite work out for him. Now, Maida trying to go down the inside of Valentine a little bit further ahead, but that didn't quite work out. Lots of battles, not much in terms of overtaking. Now, though, Pocket Rocket does get ahead of Kaz, finding himself up into P9. Kaz down in 10th position now, but Pocket Rocket trying to regain a couple positions after that woeful restart. Pork Chops, though, still trying to hang on. He's got Capital on those medium tires, chasing him down, trying to put the pressure on here, but unable to get the overtake done with the help of that straight. No DRS just yet due to the safety car that came out. But you got to watch out because you're starting to see some of these fresh tire runners really carve their way up the field. Subtle But Whole, Valentine are the 2 to break free past Clogmonger, past the first line of defense. They're up into 4th and 5th. Next up, though, they got to catch up to Unholy Red Eye. And then, of course, you get involved in this battle with Capital and Pork Chops right now, as we are starting lap 20, 11 laps to go in this Grand Prix, and it is still anybody's race to play for here. And the question is, will we maybe see another pit stop here from the likes of Capital, Unholy Red Eye, maybe even Pork Chops? Do they feel like they can take these tires till the end of the race and try to extend them as long as they possibly can? These questions will need answers, and these answers are going to come sooner rather than later here. A yellow flag in Sector 1 as it looks like that's a Wild Maida, and Houdini losing out on a few positions. Houdini not having the race he was hoping for, maybe sitting a little bit more comfortably, knowing that that young DJ CJ is not going to be getting any points here in the championship, in the Drivers' Championship, and with the gap between now Houdini and Subtle in points, I think all Subtle, not Subtle, but I think all Houdini needs to do is snag a couple points here, finish the race, and he should be, I believe he will be crowned the champion here for the Division 3 Championship. But we'll see. We still have the laps to play out for the rest of the field, and a lot of battling here for the constructors, especially with the Mercedes hot in the middle of a Constructors' Championship battle. But both Pork Chops and Unholy Red Eye doing everything they can to try to hang on try to gain that, gain those positions, gain those ever so important points for the Constructors' Championship here, as it is coming down to the final race of the season here around Singapore. 10 laps to go. DRS is now enabled. How is this going to play out? You've already got Subtle now making a move down the inside of Unholy Red Eye. Valentine trying to follow suit, but could not get the overtake done through into turn 1, turn 2. Will need to wait for the DRS straight. But Subtle is the first to get unleashed, the first to get launched. Now he's got to catch up to this next group of cars. Capital looking to make an overtake on Pork Chops, going down the inside. Can he get the move done? It looks like he will be going deep, but the switchback is not there from Pork Chops, and it is going to be Capital now leading the race for the Renault guys, for the Renault drivers, and the Renault fans out there who are absolutely loving to see that. But watch out, because you've got both Subtle But Whole and Valentine who are lurking in the shadows, creeping up to this group of 2 drivers who opt to stay out. Had a nice little run off the get-go, but seemingly maybe now are falling a little bit further back down to earth here with the extra tire wear compared to those running on those fresh set of boots. But it won't stop these 2 drivers here, P3, P4, from trying to battle amongst themselves, which could be beneficial. I think, honestly, maybe they might want to work as a team here to try to overtake the top 2 and then fight for position afterwards. But of course, that's a lot easier said than done. Very difficult to orchestrate that with an on-track rival here. But we'll see how it all plays out. Subtle putting a lot of pressure on Pork Chops, trying to force the Mercedes driver possibly into making a mistake. But Pork is a very experienced driver. He knows what he's doing. He is probably not phased too much about that, Subtle in his rearview mirrors flashing around. But he might want to be a little bit here, especially with the exit here. Gonna go around the outside. Can he make this stick here? It's close. You've got to leave a little bit of room. And oh no! Calamity here for Pork Chops. He's probably not happy about that one bit. There was a little bit of contact between Pork Chops and Subtle. The question is, of course, going to be asked of whether enough room was left here for Pork Chops to get to have enough space there. It is something the stewards are going to have to look at. We didn't quite get the best angle of it as much as we did have the onboard as I was trying to catch the action happen. But we did see the incident happen, and that does knock Pork Chops from up into second now all the way down to P6. But for Subtle and Valentine, they gain a position. Unholy Red Eye now just outside of the podium in P4. And as the laps are ticking down, Capital now, he's going to have to try to push a little bit because he's leading the race, but he does have a 9 seconds of penalties here. To be fair, so does Unholy Red Eye. Pocket Rocket has 3, Pork Chops has 3. So it's looking as if this could be still shuffled up in terms of the order between now and the end of the race, especially with the penalties falling the way they are. Unholy Red Eye going to fall a couple positions. Capital might fall a couple. So we could maybe see Pocket Rocket still snag a podium, assuming the order doesn't change. But Pork Chops now, he must be aware that he might be still on a possible podium run here too if he can just recover. But of course, having to this is Unholy Red Eye taking a pit stop. Interestingly enough, Pork Chops staying out. He's only taken a little bit more tire wear, no wing damage there, thankfully. So we can continue defending the likes of Kaz here for this P5. But as far as the lead is concerned, Capital now under pressure from Subtle, who's going to try to go around the outside. Was not able to stick it. Valentine, though, I thought he was going to be able to stick it, but just could not quite get find the traction on the exit of the corner. Going to try around the outside now. A switchback does not work for Valentine either. So Subtle is still going to stay in second position. Valentine, he's in third. He's putting a lot of pressure though on the McLaren driver, and it seems like it might be only a matter of time before this overtake happens. But the question is, can Subtle overtake Capital, put a Renault between himself and Valentine, make himself sitting a little bit more comfortable if he can get that done sooner rather than later? Yellow flags though here for it looks like possibly Pork Chops. as C. Freeman does get ahead, but not quite sure why those came out, to be honest with you, but we are continuing racing here nonetheless. No worries about that. Nothing too major happening here. Just maybe some standard cause procedures, yellow flags. But we'll no worries there. But we are just going to keep an eye out on this battle for the lead. It is the closest battle on track. Subtle though, he has a big moment on the exit of the final corner, swinging that car to the inside line. Thought it was going to be a little bit of time lost. But it looks like Valentine didn't quite have the best exit either. So essentially it all evened out here between the top three. Now, with the help of DRS, here comes Subtle. He opens up that DRS flap. He is chasing down Capital. Is he going to have enough to get the overtake done? Not much ERS in the tank. Going deep. There's contact. A half spin. That's a Subtle now out. Capital taking some wing damage there. Calamity here on lap 24 out of 31. And Subtle caught up in another minor incident there. First with Pork Chops, but now with the likes of Capital. Subtle now is in third. Capital in second. Valentine, though, through all of that, he did not get involved. And he now takes the lead of the race for the Ferrari drivers. What a crazy turn of events here. Capital is going to continue onwards, but he has some wing damage. He lost an end plate, and the question is he going to be staying out, or is he going to be maybe taking one final pit stop? Subtle though, he's running okay. He just he hasn't taken any wing damage. He just has a little bit more tire wear on that car, with Pocket Rocket now lurking in fourth, trying to chase down this, and has essentially caught up to this group now that is consisting of Capital, Subtle, and Pocket Rocket. More wing damage though, more end plates flying off of the car of that Renault. So I think Capital might be taking a pit stop sooner rather than later to get that damage taken care of. And there you go. You see him lining up. He's going to get the tires changed too, as he's been on those for quite some time. It will unleash Subtle into clean air, but more specifically, it will unleash Pocket Rocket now to only have to challenge for one driver, for one overtake to possibly try to get some clean air and catch up to Valentine. But the order has definitely switched up from where it was just a couple laps ago. And with 6 laps left in this Grand Prix, it is the Ferrari of Valentine leading the way. Subtle in second, Pocket Rocket in third, with Kaz in fourth. And remember though, Kaz started the race all the way down in P18, if I recall correctly. And once again has been able to finesse his way up into a solid drive here, and currently sitting in a top 5 in fourth, and possibly trying to eye a podium here before the end of the race. But of course, that's going to be a lot easier said than done, especially around a track like Singapore, because some hot laps are going to need to be set. And he is going to have to pull off a few of them in quick succession here. Only 6 laps to catch up to the that next group of cars ahead of him, which is, like I was saying, Pocket Rocket and Subtle, who are still having their battles. Subtle is leading. Pocket Rocket, I think, is playing this wisely, just trying to conserve a little bit of battery, maybe conserve some fuel, and to go for an all-out push lap in maybe a lap or two's time to really try to put the nail in the coffin, get that P2, and not allow Subtle any opportunity to battle back. But for now, it's Subtle in second, Pocket Rocket in third. Valentine is leading the way, and he is essentially building a gap here between himself and second. So he is having a fantastic race here, and looks like Houdini, who looks to be set to possibly win the Drivers' Championship here for the Division 3 Championship. He's sitting in 7th, but he's had a quiet race, keeping it clean here, and essentially has done all he needs to do to ensure himself a solid result. And as long as things don't go south for him, he could very well see that first place prize there for the championship at the end of the season. But before we get too far on that, we still have the race to finish. 5 laps to go in this Grand Prix. 13 drivers, 13 runners are remaining here. Valentine leads all of them here in first position. 5.5-second gap to second place here, which is Subtle, who seems to be falling off a little bit here. But Pocket Rocket crucially just keeping pace, but unable to truly overtake. Unable to truly get that, find that extra pace he needs to get the overtake done on Subtle. Still 5 laps to go in this Grand Prix though, so there still is a little bit of time. But time is definitely running out here on Pocket Rocket's chances to get the overtake done. And very crucially, he's taken another 3-second time penalty, which brings his total up to 3 seconds. So that could possibly open the door to Kaz, if Kaz can just gain enough time and close his gap between he and Pocket Rocket to down to under 3 seconds. That could be Kaz's podium there for the final podium spot. So still lots to race for here, and very crucially, we've got some battles on track here. Of course, VTech got close to Clogmonger. Here comes the Unholy Red Eye though, now overtaking VTech, the number 95 Mercedes, getting that overtake done, promoting himself up into 10th. VTech down in 11th. But, of course, VTech running a clean race compared to the other drivers ahead of them, who have all taken at least 3 seconds of time penalties here so far this race. Now, Pork Chops, he's recovered pretty well after that half spin a couple laps ago. Finds himself in 6th. He is stuck in a little bit of no man's land, but trying to close the gap on C. Freeman to try to maybe gain a possible P5. Here on the track, though, a little bit further down, C. Freeman's teammate Clogmonger, he's feeling the pressure from Unholy Red Eye, trying to get ahead up into P9. The Red Bull of VTech lurking behind. There goes the Mercedes as he does get the move done. Unholy Red Eye finds himself now in 9th position. He gains a position, getting ahead of the AlphaTauri. Now here comes the Red Bull, but right as I say that, that's Unholy Red Eye out of this race, going what I can only assume was way too hot into that corner, and that is going to bring out a very late safety car here, and this could change everything. This is going to pay an absolute treat for a lot of drivers, for a lot of these drivers here that are maybe only sitting on 3 seconds of time penalties, or that are sitting on no time penalties here. Because of course, if you can manage to keep close, keep that gap, that could be your race done and dusted right then and there, with the gap being so close together. So it's a late safety car going to turn this race on its head. Valentine though still leading the race, not opting to take a pit stop. I'll be back in just a moment here. Just going to take one final sip of water so I can take us through what is going to be a very hectic, very crazy safety car restart and 2 to 3 lap sprint, green, white, checkered flag, so to say, here in Singapore. Alrighty, I am back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here under safety car, I should say, on lap 28 out of 31. Coming down to the nitty-gritty of the final few laps here around Singapore, for the final race here for the Midwest Formula 1 Division 3 Championship. And what a race it has been thus far. And it is setting itself up to be an even better race to finish. We are going to have what seems to be one more lap here around safety car. So it is going to be a true green, white, checkered flag here, as we are going to go around for lap 29. We are going to go green for lap 30, and then get the checkered flag, or get the final lap here, lap 31. So 2 laps of racing here. around the Singapore Grand Prix here. So it's going to be a bang here to close off the season with all the drivers, the whole grid closed up together, brought right back up here under safety car. As you can see on your screen, a lot of penalties for a lot of drivers. Valentine has driven a clean race. Subtle has driven a clean race as far as the timing tables are concerned here. But other than those two and VTech to throw into that group for that matter, everybody else has taken at least 3 seconds of time penalties, if not more, so ranging from 3 seconds all the way up to 9 seconds in the likes of C. Freeman, Capital, for example, who have 9 seconds respectively. Racing Ginger with 8 seconds to his name, so that can definitely play a big factor between now and the end of the race, with the grid being so close together, with the grid being so bunched up. But we'll see how this all plays out. We are still under safety car for now, but like I said, we are going to head back to green flag racing very, very soon here today, here this evening, I should say, under the lights in Singapore for the final few laps. It is going to be a good race. It is going to be a good restart. Very excited to see how this is all going to play out, especially here with all the strategies essentially converging to allow for one last final bash. Let's take a look. Looking at some of these choices, most are on some are on fresh sets of soft. Some are on those older mediums, older hards. Then you've got pork chops, clogmonger, guys, 23 and 22 lap old hard tires. They are really trying to bring those to the end. They have got to be screaming. They're hanging on to this track position, but this could be a little bit costly here with the grid being punched up. With those such worn tires, I do hope they can last to the end under green flag racing, but we'll see how this all plays out, especially here under the restart here for the safety car. But here we go. Valentine is going to lead the way. The safety car is in the pit lane now. So here we go around the final corner to start the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix. Goes Valentine. Kaz closing up right ahead, right behind them though. We've got a little bit of battling for position. Here comes Houdini now. Oh no, and Houdini gets spun. Houdini getting spun around. He needs to get back on track, but he's going to lose out on a lot of positions there as he went for a move down the inside essentially, or of turn 1, turn 2. Did not work out for him. Subtle but whole, meanwhile, he gets the overtake done. Second time's the charm there on Pork Chops as he ends up in 4th. Pork Chops now having to defend from Pocket Rocket, who is going to send one down the inside. Can break a little bit later on those fresher, softer tires. Pork, I think, is really starting to feel the grip fade away from those hard tires that are just 23 lap old and just absolutely screaming, struggling. We've got VTech there that's had a little bit of a mistake there. Oh my goodness, nearly 3 wide there. A big kerfuffle of cars there battling it out. And here comes Pocket Rocket getting a little bit anxious, and that was Capital trying to chuck one down the inside too, through that corner. It's all going off here. Everybody battling for position, trying to gain time wherever they can. It's all being left on the track. A little bit of contact there between Pocket Rocket and C. Freeman. C. Freeman is going to invite that. Might not like it though, but Pocket Rocket just completely books it before anything can happen more. There, oh my goodness! There went a Wild Maida, launch one down the inside. That was a bit of an interesting move to say the least, if I'm being honest. C. Freeman now facing the wrong way. He's probably definitely not happy in that cockpit there. What is going on here in the final few laps here of this Grand Prix? Valentine though, he's still leading. Kaz now in 2nd, Pocket Rocket in 3rd. Maida now finds himself in 4th place. Capital is in 5th. Racing Ginger now getting ahead of Pork Chops, who has some wing damage. Clogmonger, I believe, also has some end plate damage there. So he and Pork are in similar situations right now. But the Stewarts might end up looking into that penultimate lap, because that was It was a sight to see for sure. Drivers really getting the elbows out, really trying to get those overtakes done. But you do have to make a comment about patience here on the racetrack. You still had a full lap to go to get these overtakes done. You don't necessarily need to force something when it's not going to happen, or in a situation where you're definitely not going to get that overtake to stick properly. But of course, enough about that, because we've got another battle here. Pocket Rocket and Kaz now going side by side on the final lap. There goes Pocket Rocket around the outside. He does get it to stick with those fresher soft tires. So it looks like Pocket Rocket is going to get second here on track at the very least. We'll see how things are going to look like once the penalties get all shifted around. One thing I can say with certainty, I should say, as he's coming around the final corner, your race winner here for the finale is Valentine, ending it off in style. Pocket Rocket in second. Maida comes in second position there. And Subtle, no, it's Subtle who's in second. So Valentine getting P1. Subtle but Whole getting P2. A Wild Maida getting a podium position there. So it did work out for him for the time being. Just losing out on P2 as the rest of the grid is going to cross the line. What a podium shakeup that was, and I can't wait to get some thoughts there from the post-race interviews from those podium sitters, and especially for those final few laps under safety car. And I do have to make a comment there, Kaz. From 18th on the grid and up into P5, as you can see, he crossed the line in style, driving right into that car from Valentine. But he had such a fantastic race here. But it's great to see him up into a top 5, finishing off the season strong, and definitely going to be riding that momentum into F1 2021 once we do kick off the next season. But there you have it, driver of the day to boot as well. That is what you love to see. But here we go. We are checking out the podium celebration. It is Valentine, the Ferrari, who is taking that top step of the podium here at Abu Dhabi. 2 Americans on the podium, and I believe that is oh, I'm gonna get butchered for this. I think it looked like an Irish flag. From what I saw, I'm gonna get killed, I know, but I do hope I'm at least close enough. But I'm sure you all will let me know. But there you have it. That is the order for one more time here after the finale. It is Valentine getting P1, getting the victory. Subtle in second. A Wild Maida in third. Pocket Rocket in fourth. Kaz rounding out the top 5 from 18th. Racing Ginger, Pork Chops, Clogmonger, Capital, Houdini rounding out the top 10 here. VTech in 11th, C Freeman in 12th, Unholy Red Eye in 13th, Silent Banshee and Young DJ CJ round out the top 15. K-Dog, Chunky Corgi and Highways are the final few drivers here on the list, on the grid order. But of course, from Unholy Red Eye down, they did not finish the race, unfortunately. Will not be considered classified. But there you have it. What a race that was, and I cannot wait to get into the post-race interviews, get a little bit of reaction from the drivers. So I'm gonna run off, send those. I'm gonna go and send those invites off. So I will be back in just a few moments as I do get them, as I do get the invites sent off for us, so we can get some post-race thoughts from the podium here. Alrighty, I've got those invites sent off. We'll just await the invites here in just a little bit. But I'm gonna take the time here to talk us take a little bit. Oh well, actually here I'll do that in just a little bit because we have our race winner Valentine who just jumped in here. So Valentine, since you're here, I'll start with you. Can you hear us at all?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How we doing? How we doing?
Perfect. I'm doing fantastic. I'd ask you how you're doing, but after the race outcome you had, I'm sure you're doing fantastic.
Oh my God, I'm sweating.
Sweating.
My chest hair is drenched. I got sweat on my forehead. That has got to be the most nerve-wracking race I've probably done.
Well, please, honestly, I mean that's probably better of an intro than I could ever do here to introduce the driver, but talk us through it. What made it so nerve-wracking for you?
Well, first off, it was a wet to dry race, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to keep up on the inters with everyone. I knew I had some decent pace on the dry, but I wasn't sure if I was going to have the ability to stay behind those guys. But eventually I just kind of got into the zone, just eyes ahead of me to the car ahead of me, and I made it work. And once that safety car dried out the track a little bit, it made the decision to go onto the softs a little, or the dries a little bit easier. And originally I was gonna pit from the inters to hards, just one stop that, because I had 20 laps left, I believe, and I was informed that, yeah, 20 laps, definitely go for it. They can go 26, so I figured even at the end of the race, I was going to have plenty of tire life. I was good. Then with that other safety car about 6 or 7 laps later, I figured, well, at this point, I got a fresh set of mediums. Might as well slap them on and see what happens.
Yeah, definitely worked out for you. Now, I know at least through one of your pit stops, and this is something I wanted to ask, were you and Houdini in contact at all? Because I know you guys went through. It looked like Houdini kind of just allowed you to just book it right by. It looked like you definitely had a bit more pace than he did here on Singapore. But were you guys in contact at all? Were you guys chatting, or did it just sort of happen that way? I guess the Ferrari contactless contact system.
Nope, there was no team orders there. We didn't contact each other at all. I was just hoping that, he would see me kind of pushing behind him, and even though he was on the better compound, I still had more pace than him. So I'm kind of glad that I was able to just get alongside enough, and he was like, yeah, whatever, dude, I'll let you go. I was really unfortunate, though, on the last restart. I saw that there was an incident with him, and he dropped to the back of the field. I was heartbroken for him. But then Kaz, he was putting on immense pressure on me, and I saw him in my mirror a little too close a couple of times, which kind of started the sweating even more. I was worried I was going to get just rammed into. I was like, oh God, no. Please, no, not like this.
Yeah, and how worried were you when that late safety car came out? Because it seemed like I think you almost had this one in the bag a little bit earlier. Then the safety car came out right at the end, bunched everybody up. How worried were you with that? That maybe it wasn't as maybe a comfortable win as you might have wanted it to be.
It definitely wasn't comfortable. I was stuck behind cars almost the entire race. I had more pace in me the entire time. I just couldn't get around them. And then I got gift wrapped to first place. I hope you got this on stream. Me, Maida, and Capital, we were coming through sector 2, the end of sector 1, and they made contact, and Capital started to spin. Well, I broke and went inside, and my back tire clipped his front wing and corrected him, and we just kept on going, and I could not believe what just happened. Please tell me you got that on stream. Please tell me you got that on stream.
I might have got it on stream. I need to go back and take a look at the VOD, but it is telling me something here, and I do remember catching a moment where you were in third, and all of a sudden an incident happened, and all of a sudden you were just in first. So it could very well be that.
That was heartbreaking.
Oh, it was amazing. I'm sorry. It was just completely laid out for me, and I went for it. I couldn't afford not to. I've been following them for laps and laps, and I'm like, finally. But yeah, then that safety car came at lap 28, and I was dumbfounded. I didn't even know a safety car could pop up that late, and I was scared because my tires had just hit 40%. and I was wondering, okay, everyone behind me pit for softs, and I was hoping that, you know, the rest of the grid wouldn't. So, you know, it would put those soft tire runners behind all them, which worked out great. Everyone behind me had a penalty. I was feeling pretty comfy there for a little while. I was definitely a little bit nervous with my tire wear there at the end with that late safety car.
Well, it worked out for you in the end. So, congratulations on the victory here in the finale, with a solid drive throughout.
Thank you. And if I'm not wrong, I believe the Constructors' Championship just got interesting.
There's a chance it could have. I don't know where the calculation ended, but we can take a quick peek at that at some point. I'm gonna try to trek on with the post-race interviews though. For the moment, I'll just go down.
Of course.
Yeah, I'll go down the order here. Settle, I think. Well, you're next on the list, so can you hear us at all?
Absolutely.
Perfect. So let's get that McLaren on the screen here. So from 8th on the grid up into 2nd, and a solid race from you all throughout. Talk us through it. What were your thoughts here on that race?
Man, you know, with the rain coming up, I was hoping that I would get a fortunate safety car somewhere in there to try to bump me up the order, and, you know, inevitably it did. And I was sitting up there in first, you know, cruising, and then at some point, I can't remember what happened, but I was sitting behind somebody, you know, and I had Valentine behind me, and I could tell he had way more pace than I did because I had the hards on. He was rocking mediums. And so I was just trying to keep him behind me as much as possible. And I don't exactly remember what happened, but, you know, we ended up clipping. Oh yeah, I went up on the inside, and I thought I had first place bagged up, and then suddenly I was spinning, and you know, Valentine went launching by. Luckily, I didn't spin too bad and just kept going. And then I made a stupid mistake there. I thought jumping into the pits for softs on that safety car with only a few laps left to go, and came out behind a lot of people. And I knew Houdini was going to be trying to play it safe because he basically had the championship bagged up. So I was going to launch to get past him, ended up getting past him and somebody else, and just started charging my way up, and then got spun out by Kaz with one lap left to go, dropped down to 6th, and I knew everybody had penalties, so I was just pushing to try to stay tight. Ended up behind Capital, and on that last turn, I sent it to the outside of Capital just to try to keep it tight, hoping to get a podium. And when I looked and saw that I was in 2nd, I couldn't believe it. So, I mean, I didn't know what Wild Maida had left in terms of penalties, but there it was, 1.88 or something like that seconds ahead. So, yeah, it was a gnarly race right there.
Yeah, so I'm gonna take it. That you had no idea up until you crossed the line that podium was happening, right?
I thought I had a shot at 3rd. I thought 2nd was completely out of the realm of possibilities. I thought I had a shot at 3rd, so that's why I sent it on Capital around the outside. And then when I looked up and saw 2nd, I couldn't believe it. Especially spinning in the last lap, basically. I thought 2nd was completely gone.
Yeah, and I mean, Settle, I believe it was you from my memory bank here from this. I think it was you and Pork Chops that were battling it out, and I think it was on turn 3 that you went around the outside. It looked like there was initially enough room. I know Pork went for a little bit of a half spin there. I just want to get your thoughts on that incident here.
Yeah. I feel horrible about it too because, you know, I sent it on him. I thought I had him beat. I thought I had enough clearance, and I still tried to leave room because I thought, you know, he could still be there. So I was trying to leave room, and I thought I left enough room. Suddenly I look in my rear view and I see him spinning, and yeah, I felt horrible because that's not what I'm trying to do out there. You know, I'm just trying to race by. I thought I had the pace to get past him, and keep charging through. So I tried to get by clean, and unfortunately, I guess I must have tapped. I didn't even feel anything on my wheel at all, so I'm not sure what happened, but I assume that I hit him.
Yeah, it was close. I mean, it did look like some hard racing here, and I mean, of course, when you're racing hard, accidents do happen. But still, ending the race up in second, fantastic showing, and congratulations on the solid result here in the finale.
I appreciate it. We'll see you in D2, my man.
All right, we'll see you in D2. And now, last but not least, our Williams driver, Wild Maida. Maida, you hear it all? Can you hear us?
Yep. Can you guys hear me? Check.
Perfect. I mean, I can hear you here on the screen. Not too sure about the stream though. I don't really have that open.
I checked the setting. I think I'm sharing my audio, so
all
we should
right.
be good.
Perfect. I'm gonna hope for the best here. But from starting on the grid in fifth, ending in third here. Talk us through it. What were your thoughts here after that finale here in Singapore?
I don't think there's a better way to end the season. I think the last lap itself was just an absolutely, it was chaos, right? A lot of incidents, a lot of time penalties, a lot of people making moves. I've been putting a lot of laps in this week on Singapore, and I was really confident going into qualifying, and then even heading into the race with P5 with rain. I like racing in the rain. I don't think many other people do. So, to me, I kind of looked at it as a plus. But yeah, it was a roller coaster of a race. I started P5. I think I worked my way up to P4, maybe P3 at one point, and then I don't know what happened. I think it's turn 4. That straight. It's that turn right before the DRS the DRS section under the bridge. That long straight. I don't know if I went wide and maybe got tapped by, I believe it was Pork Chop, started to spin out. He tried to correct. He bumped me back, and I kind of got bounced like a ping pong ball into the wall.
Oh.
And then there was a Ferrari trying to sneak up the left side of me while I was kind of tank slapping, I guess. And then that kind of messed up my whole race. I had to, I think I dropped down to 13th, which at the time was last place, because I think there were a lot of DNFs this round. And then I'm put on softs, and I'm just booking. I'm just trying to put in my best lap time. I think I got fastest lap. Eventually, I caught up to the pack. Got lucky with a lap 27 safety car, lap 26 safety car. Put on another set of softs, and knew at that start that I remember I had seen that there were a lot of time penalties across the drivers, so I knew just keep that gap close, make passes where I can. And then unfortunately I came the turn right before we go under the bridge in sector 3.
Yeah. I
was right behind C. Freeman, and I wasn't trying to dive bomb, but I guess I don't know if he started braking a little early maybe, or I came in with a little too much speed. I had one of those oh crap moments, and I needed to swerve into the inside lane to avoid contact, and then between braking hard and trying to turn, I ended up coming into contact with him. I'm hoping that we're all good there. And then with the time penalties, I'm just lucky that I got back to P3. It's absolutely crazy in the last sector when I realized that it was within reach. I'm hoping that it does some good stuff for the constructors, but I don't think we had a second Williams driver today, so maybe not. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it was just you and the Williams, and I mean, honestly, you covered a lot of what I had for secondary questions. I really did want to ask about the exactly that left-hander going under the bridge in sector 3, but you covered essentially what I was going to ask with that question. But I think between you and Capital, both I think both of you around the same time going for that lunge, it made for absolutely crazy scenes. But happy to see you come out of there, and I just want to congratulate you on the fantastic drive here, the podium, and a great way to end out the season.
Thank you. Yeah, I had fun. I'm hoping I can join you guys for F1 2021. I got to figure out what console I'm getting it on.
Perfect. Well, I'm sure we'll be happy to have you here with the if you do get it on the PS4 or the PS5.
Yes.
Perfect. So, and that on that note, that is pretty much going to do it here for the stream here today, and that is going to do it for the season. It's a wrap, folks. That is it for the season here, and I believe we might be taking a little bit of a quick break just to get accustomed to the new game, get accustomed to F1 2021 that is officially released tomorrow for everybody who didn't get the deluxe edition. So get a little bit used to the new game, get a little bit used to the new settings, and we should have more info on the next season very shortly here. Now, last thing I do want to mention before I sign off here on the stream, we do actually have a sponsor here for at Midwest F1. Looks like we have a sponsor from Raise Energy, a little energy drink company that Midwest was able to be sponsored by, and they're an energy drink company. I've got a little bit. Looks like flavors are second to none. They don't include dyes, fillers, or any other unnecessary junk in their drinks. And of course, if it is something that you do want to check out, want to try out, we've got a fantastic a promo code. You can use Midwest or MWF1 for 15% off your order at REPP Sports with an S.com. So check that out if you would like. But on behalf of everybody here at Midwest Formula 1, I do want to say thank you so much for watching through the entirety of the season. We couldn't do this without all of you watching at home. Stay tuned to the Discord for more information on next season. And we will see you next season in F1 2021. Have yourselves a fantastic evening.